The U.S. Commission on International Religious Freedom released its 2026 report today, and its findings are concerning. They recommended redesignating 18 countries for particular concern, the last designations taking place in 2023. Nigeria was the only country officially designated with CPC status by the president in 2025. Afghanistan, India, Libya, Syria, and Vietnam were suggested for CPC status for the first time, while groups like Boko Haram and the Houthis recommended for entities of particular concern. Joining me now to discuss is Nadine Maenza, co-chair for the International Religious Freedom Roundtable and former chair of the U.S. Commission on International Religious Freedom. Thanks so much for coming back. Now, can you share with us some of the most important takeaways from this year's report?
Yeah, I think it's pretty clear from looking at this report that's only been out a few hours that religious freedom is threatened throughout the world. I mean, they especially point out, government repression continues to increase, and we're seeing a lot of non-state violence against religious communities. And of course, the report opens talking about Nigeria and the horrific violence and how over 53,000 Christians have been killed since 2009 there.
Now, the State Department has not yet filed its religious freedom report. Do we know what the Trump administration is doing to aid some of the countries of most concern, as well as refugee replacement?
Yeah, so there's a lot that we haven't heard since they haven't released a report. And Biden was late in releasing the report his last year, and then the Trump administration has also delayed the report. So we are waiting for designations from the State Department. But nevertheless, USCIRF makes some really important recommendations to the President, Secretary of State, and Congress in this report. And hopefully, they will take a look. I think, it's so important to elevate religious freedom in foreign policy. They, in their opening as well, talk about Syria and how we have seen, the rise of violence against the religious communities there. And they have recommended Syria be a country of particular concern this year, which it was recommended as a special watch list country last year. But I think using, future, U.S. security assistance and bilateral trade being tied to religious freedom, being able to bring religious freedom into the foreign policy space, and make sure countries know that they can be rewarded by the support of the United States. There's a way that we can speak into this to incentivize better behavior from a lot of these countries. Some of these countries that are some of the worst we've seen are strong allies of the United States. Others, of course, like Iran, are not. But we have influence with a lot of these countries, like Nigeria, like Pakistan, like Saudi Arabia, and we should be using it.
Now, of course, we are following everything that's happening with Iran, and the world is watching the war in the Middle East. Yesterday, we spoke to a Chaldean archbishop in Iraq on the situation for Christians there. Christians are already under attack in the region. Will Christian persecution rise as a result of this war?
Unfortunately, we have seen with Syria, the Al Hol camp that was filled with ISIS families. Over 20,000 were released just within the last few weeks. So we've seen an increase in ISIS attacks on that side. So whenever there's chaos, whenever there's security and governance gaps, usually bad actors fill those. And since we do have so much chaos on both sides of the border for Iraq, it is for both the Yazidis and the Christians a really terrible time. In fact, we just got word just a little while ago that in a Chaldean, some of the housing actually was hit by some of the bombings that were striking the Erbil Kurdistan region of Iraq area. So it is a difficult time for all the people in that area. But of course, the vulnerable minorities have less places to flee. It's more difficult for them when they find themselves once again trying to relocate.
Nadine Maenza, thanks so much for being here and giving us more information on this important story.
Thanks for having me.